I am Cordelia, Star Wars fan, toy collector, and nerd. And this is my co-host, Peanut. Peanut. Yes, she's a good girl. And I'm here today, we are here today. I'm really here to tell you this story. Peanut is here for moral support, of how I came into possession of a huge bag of extremely amazing and valuable vintage Star Wars toys for free. And then how it turned out that that was a mistake and I have to give them all back, which breaks my heart. But in order to make the blow less hard, I'm making this video to commemorate the toys that I had briefly in my possession. So, I'm going to start with the one thing that I am allowed to keep, and then I'm going to go through a lot of the other stuff. Everything is from between 1977 and 1979, from after A New Hope, the first released Star Wars movie, which at the time was just called Star Wars, and before Empire Strikes Back. That's the window of time that we're looking at. The last thing that I have to show you is, in my opinion, the most interesting, coolest thing, and one of the hardest things for me to give away, so stay tuned and you'll see what it is. When I say give away, I mean give back. So, are we ready, Peanut? Here we go. Okay, so the first thing, the one I'm allowed to keep, is the Sandcrawler. This is super cool, and I'm really, really lucky that I get to keep this. It's got a top thing that opens. You can see the cockpit. The stickers inside were clearly applied by a child, authentic 70s children application. The way that I got this Star Wars lot was that I'm in a community gifting group on Facebook, and these, I gather, were the childhood toys of the husband of the woman who accidentally gave them away to me. This is my own personal gonk droid that I added to it. But as you can see, it has like, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of dark. It has like a spot for like a battery pack to go. This was originally apparently a remote controlled toy. I don't have the RC and I doubt it still works, but for now it is my gonk docking port. As you can see over here too, it's got this wonderful, close. Oh yes, it closes on the sides secretly. It's got this wonderful little like tube up here, whoop, where you can like, you know, magnetically suck the drawers up, whoop, twing, up that tube, like in the movie. So I get to keep that, and that's nice. But here's one of the hardest things that I have to give away, or give back. Darth Vader. Complete with original cape. Yes, when I saw him, I just like hugged him. I was just like, yeah. So it was like my inner child apparently needed a Darth Vader this big from the 70s my whole life, and I had no idea. So now he's like top of my list of things that I want to seek out and replace, you know, add to a Christmas list or birthday list or whatever. But just like, look at this, you know, lovingly tied, in excellent condition. I'm told that 2 generations of male children, like the original owner and his son, both had like this whole bag of toys. So they were very gentle. A lot of boys play with their toys by like violently bashing them together as hard as possible. So this was extremely well cared for. They kept the cape and everything. Peanut is licking my arm. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your support, Peanut. Thank you for understanding. The Force is strong with this one. So that's Vader. Gonna miss him. Gonna miss him a lot. Speaking of toys having, you know, like, I don't know, damage from being bashed together. Chewbacca here. He actually came with his arms separate from the figure. These figures apparently were originally made with a rubber band internal suspension, which of course from like the 70s, rubber bands wear out. Not the best way to make toys. Kind of a cheapo move, but like a whole lot of toys from the past were made that way. Migos were made that way. He-Man toys, like rubber band suspension is unfortunately sort of common in like the 70s and 80s. I thought it was kind of ironic because, you know, they say that Wookiees will rip the arms out of the sockets of their opponents if they lose a game. So I was like, well, what happened here? But basically, with, you know, needle and some tweezers and some hair ties, I was able to replace the old rubber band with some much longer lasting, much sturdier hair ties that matched his brown patina, brown color. So, you know, I'm going to be giving the lot back in better condition than I found it. One of the coolest things too, if I can find it, here it is. So he's got like a whole lot of, oh yeah, right, I forgot. Vader's lightsaber. The toy doesn't really grip the lightsaber all that well, but you mind your own business. Yeah, they tried, but yeah, that's a wonderful thing, you see? Right? It's good stuff, huh? Yeah, really good stuff. But Chewbacca's bandolier belt and crossbow. These toys, I have to say, were not really designed super well with the idea of gripping their own weapons in mind. Like, they kind of, like, will hold it for, like, a second, but they're not really, like that's not one of their strong suits. But here you can see Chewie's little bandolier pack. Oh, it looks like some of these little guys are coming out, but they pop through on both sides. There we go. And we've got, like, it does close in the back. You see there's a sort of a hole and peg apparatus. I'm not going to force it closed because it's someone else's toy. One of the nice things is it has this little little hanger, so that if you do close that around him, you can at least hang his weapon on his back. He may not be able to grip it, but he can at least hang it. So we've got that. Also in this bag, actually, there's another toy here. It's a Jawa, but not one to size scale with the transport. This would be a giant Jawa for the transport, but, like, you know, again, complete with fabric robes. You can see his terrifying little yellow eyes inside. It's funny because under the Jawa robe is another Jawa robe. It's robes all the way down, if ever you wondered what was under a Jawa robe. But yeah, he's otherwise, you know, a good size scale model Jawa. Not one of my favorites of the lot, but a very cool addition for sure. I'm gonna put you back, Chewie. Now I want to show you one of the more interesting ones, Boba Fett. Oh my goodness, Boba Fett. This one's got his little rocket pack. He doesn't have the thing that shoots out of it. That originally came with him, but this one doesn't have it. He also had like a little green fabric cape. Kind of crappy. I've seen complete ones since, actually, at a toy show that I was just at. When I first got this bag, I did not know that it was going to be vintage toys all the way down. It was just like, oh, like, look at this, you know, here's a picture of this bag of Star Wars toys, and there's like some random stuff on top, and I was like, oh, there's some vintage things in there, I'm gonna grab that. But I had assumed that most of it was going to be like prequel toys or like stuff from the early 2000s, and it was a shock when it was gold all the way to the bottom. And that's when, you know, I was like, this is too good to be true, maybe. And I was like, thank you for all these toys. And the lady was like, oh my god, wrong bag. But this Boba Fett figure, he's got like really good articulation, you know, like you can bend his joints. Like that I actually initially mistook for like a more modern toy. But I think he was marked, what, 1979 or something? Where did it say? Yeah, it's underneath his jetpack. I don't want to break it, but what does it say? There we go. 1979. And basically, yeah, this pops back in, kind of bends. There we go. This is actually from before Boba Fett appeared in a live-action movie. Like, what, Empire comes out in 1980. And Boba Fett, his action figure appearance here, of course, is unfortunately most recently in time from when he was released, based on the infamous Star Wars Christmas special in which he appeared as an animated character. But there's various guns in here, and I think one of them is Boba Fett's. If I can find it. You get out of there, Jawa. You're making it harder to see. Let's see. We've got... That's a Stormtrooper one. We've got various guns. Aha, this one. This one is definitely one of Boba Fett's guns. He has like this cool sort of, I don't know, bracelet gun. It looks like they were aware that like the figures didn't grip the guns well, and so they're like, well, maybe he can like wear it over his shoulder. That's seems to be the thought process. What other guns do I have in here? There's this gun. That, not sure if that goes with him. It might. I guess he holds it better than many of the other ones. This might be an IG-88 gun. One other cool thing before I go to the next toy is that I discovered that Boba Fett, if you look really, really closely right there, he's got a little hole in his visor. I don't know if you can see that. And that's because in the back of his helmet, there is a little hole where you can see in Boba vision or Fetoscope. Next up, I've got IG-88. Oh my god. What an awesome and terrifying character. The droid bounty hunter whose head looks suspiciously like a lamp from the cantina. Yeah, this guy, like, I don't know, he's just so awesome. He's so rad. He's just like a giant version of the ones that, you know, you get in like the G.I. Joe size scale, except like way better and scarier because he's huge. I guess that's sort of how I feel about Vader. Yeah, maybe this is actually his gun. I'm not sure. Again, this was all like loose in a bag. Yes, doesn't that feel right? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Super cool. So next up, I have your handy-dandy Stormtrooper. These guys I hear sometimes yellow with like age and time because of the sort of plastic that they're made of. You can use the console brightening method if you have one that is yellowed. That's just 40V peroxide cream, 40 volume. Stormtrooper gun held by the Stormtrooper. Yeah, neither of his hands are particularly good at that. Maybe this hand's a little bit... Oh, actually, he's the one. Look at that. Oh, yeah, the one toy that can grip his gun. I missed you a million times, you see, because he's a Stormtrooper. He also has, like, this cool little piece of thread hanging from him. I assume that that's, like, in lieu of a holster. Like, you can just sort of put his gun there and be like, yeah. Basically, you can have his weapon at his side, which is pretty cool. There's actually some pretty neat stuff like that. There was, I think, forget if it was with Vader's lightsaber or if it's with a different one. Yes, no spoilers, but more characters who use lightsabers coming up. Well, let's do Obi-Wan first, because, you know, Obi-Wan. He, too, has his original fabric robes, and he, too, has a lightsaber. As you can see, this one's a little different. It's got, like, sort of a hole in it. That's, you know, again, I think they sort of realized that they hadn't really made these toys to grip their weapons well, and Vader just kind of doesn't hold his all that well, but this one you can kind of cram into Obi-Wan's hand. A little less than screen accurate, but one of the cool things, he doesn't have a belt, this one figure, I don't know if he originally did, is that it has like a little hook that you can maybe like hang on to, like clip onto a belt. There seems to have been like interesting thought about how to like have the weapons like dangle from the bodies of the characters, like Boba Fett's sort of bracelet gun and various other things like that. Even if they can't grip them very well, like that, and like the Stormtrooper gun and everything. We will see a similar thing in just a moment with our main protagonist, Mr. Luke Skywalker. Here he is. He's like, he's great. Like, I can't believe like how pristine and white his robes are and everything. He's even got his little utility belt with his little viewfinder thing, the one that he sees the sand people in the first movie. It's just very, very nicely detailed. He too has a lightsaber that has a little hole in it that you also can, use to sort of make him hold it sort of like a suitcase handle, but at a glance maybe it looks right. The thing I really like about this figure, like, is it has like this little hole, this little belt loop that the lightsaber hook is compatible with. I mean, the lightsaber part doesn't disappear, like it doesn't retract, so like don't cut your leg off, Luke. But no, I think he's great. The one thing I noticed, that they're all in very good shape, but Luke has some like pen mark damage. I don't know if you can see that on his chest, and I suspect that he was probably tortured by Vader or like other members of the dark side. So yeah, but I'm sure he didn't give away the location of the Rebel base. Speaking of stolen data tapes and whatnot, R2-D2 here. This is pretty cool. So obviously he's like your standard usual R2 unit, as you would expect. But check it out. He has a secret little button right here. And if you press it, it pops open this part of his back wherein he has the Death Star plans. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually labeled Death Star plans. And it's just like, he's actually carrying the stolen data tapes. And then there's this one that I think vaguely looks sort of like the art that is used to depict the digital map of like cell block 1138, where Princess Leia's prison cell is in the Death Star. So yeah, and he's just like sort of like these little tracks. You can just slide those two into, and that's what's inside of him. That's very cool stuff. That's R2. And then, of course, we have his counterpart, C-3PO, who just looks great. He's just golden and beautiful. He, is maybe, like, the simplest of the figures because he, has the most rigid movements and an already fairly rigid figure set. Doesn't have any weapons, doesn't have any secret compartments. He's just the C-3PO that you know and love. There he is. Oh yes, there was this really cool pop-up book that came with it. A lot of interesting tauntaun, good type stuff. This was one of my favorites. Da 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 vroom, ba da 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 da. Yeah, so there's just like a lot of really cool, still working pop-up effects in it. There's very few that didn't still work, but overall, this was my favorite. Wait, there we go. The Millennium Falcon escaping from the mouth of the space worm. Yeah, definitely the best one. Cloud City, Vader. Oh yeah, whoops, wrong one. That's from a different one. Darth Vader wins. I feel like they should have hidden one of Luke's hands behind his back. But yes. Ta-da! And then, speaking of Tauntauns, a Tauntaun. I wanted one of these when I was a kid so bad. I knew a kid who had one that I was super jealous of, and I was like, yes, I'm finally gonna have a Tauntaun. Wah, wah. I'm gonna have to give this one back. So obviously this is on my list of things that I want to replace now. One of the cool things about it, of course, it has its original reins and saddle, very neat. One of the simultaneously cool and simultaneously dumb things about this is that, as you can see, there are some legs, some disembodied legs on the saddle. And that's because the middle part of the Tauntaun actually opens up like a button. You're supposed to put one of the small scale figures inside, like, and submerge him from the waist inside the Tauntaun. Yeah, kind of like when they cut the Tauntaun open. Those figures spend a lot of time inside of Tauntauns, just like the characters in the movie do, and that's like the legs are now your figure's legs. That's the idea. Other toy lines did this, like the Nightmare from Dungeons and Dragons. Not a big fan of that, but here it's subtle enough that I can allow it, and I love that it still works, and I like that it's stupid, and I'm sad that I can't keep it. And now that we're in the small size scale figures, as promised, this is the pièce de résistance, the most exciting, I think, most fun, most interesting aspect of this free lot of Star Wars toys that I can't keep. These bizarre, fabulous knockoff figures called the Tomland Staroid Raiders. These are a bunch of bootlegs, apparently made in Hong Kong, that were by a company called Tomland, that look vaguely at a glance like maybe these are Star Wars guys. You know, they're about the right size scale. They're like the kind of dudes you might see at the cantina, except that they're not. They're just you know, some sci-fi nonsense. And maybe your grandma, like, I don't know, bought them at the dollar store in the 70s thinking these were Star Wars toys. Ironically, they are now much, much more valuable than any Star Wars vintage toys from the original release in this scale that I am aware of. I'm going to look at them one at a time and be sad about them. Not all of them, though, because starting with this guy, and they all have like individual names. Like there's nerds about these figures who are hardcore about them. They all have, like, you know, sort of Japanese sounding character names. I forget. I think his name was like Yasu or something. He's very Gundam looking. I actually found one of him on eBay for under $40, which is unbelievable because, like, the next lowest price was like $78 and most of them were over $100. Yeah, it's like these are apparently very expensive figures. So heartbreaking. Like, I fell in love with them first and then found out how much they cost and was like, no. So yeah, but the one I found was in worse shape, and I'm gonna try to restore him, put, like, you know, make a little sticker that looks like this, so future me, this is what the sticker looked like. Yeah, this is, oh yeah, and you can see the, I don't know if you can see the writing Tomland, the little rabbit logo. That's how you know him. But obviously that one very Gundam inspired. This one, you know, very like an old movie serial robot. He has a very, I don't know, cute kind of look to him. They all have like sort of soft, like rubbery-ish heads, but the rest of their bodies are hard. And, you know, they move like in a limited fashion. It looks like their hand should rotate, but they do not. Only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of articulation on these guys. But they all have, I don't know, a very like hokey old school sci-fi charm that I really appreciate. Here's the other one that looks like a robot. Slightly different sculpts every now and then. He's got a kind of like TOS Star Trek Klingon outfit look to him somehow. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Klingon outfits and Gorn outfits from the Mego toy line. Of course, those are bigger. We've got one more robot here, a green robot, kind of unusual. Yeah, I don't think his head, no, yep, his head does turn. It just was a little bit sticky. Yeah, so, you know, they don't always move necessarily well. Again, these were figures, I think, meant to confuse clueless grandmas that have since, I don't know, developed such a following because of how weird they are. Speaking of weird, check out Cyclops Darth Vader. Very strange, right? There's a certain, I don't know, like, you can tell that this one's a villain. His sort of helmet thing has like a Vader-ish samurai look, but also like a Cyclops look. In fact, there's figures on the same line that aren't included here that look like the Cyclops from like the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the Ray Harryhausen movie. So they're definitely ripping off of that. This is another sort of evil-looking one. Sort of looks like Dr. Smith from Lost in Space, like an evil alien guy. They all have, I don't know, like certain personalities. Like they feel like the kind of guys that you would see at the cantina on Tatooine and Mos Eisley. Yeah, this guy I think looks a bit like, you know, one of the Sand People, albeit like a very bootleg version. If you look really carefully, he's got sort of like a wrapping sort of look around him, you know, and just like that. They all have like these little stickers. There's apparently some versions of these figures where the heads glow in the dark, or where they have little belts that attach separately. There's a line where the belts glow in the dark. They apparently were like re-released a million times. Like one was like the Staroid Raiders, and one was like the Space Fighters, and one was just the Space People, and they just kept changing the name, but mostly the same molds, maybe slightly different plastic, you know, used for the heads, maybe belts or no belts or whatever in the various different releases. This guy's kind of goofy, looks like he's wearing some rad sunglasses. Kind of bird-like there. I really love how derpy this one is. I think that he's got a face to remember. He's one of the ones I you know, have been having trouble finding for a less than insane price, but maybe in the future. Yeah, I'm gonna miss you. Oh, I'm gonna miss you so much. And then maybe my favorite one, who also turns out to be one of the most expensive ones, wasn't able to find one of these for less than like $600 online. Maybe someday there'll be a cheaper one. He just like, I don't know, had like this weird, like extremely East Asian sort of like wild look about him, that sort of fiery face. Oh man, just like what is going on with this mysterious dude, right? Yeah, he's very cool. He's very cool. To commemorate this, I'm going to have him ride the Tauntaun so that you can see what this would be like if it worked. Are his feet too big to ride the Tauntaun? I made one of them do it earlier. Oh, yep, there we go. Ta-da! So now you can see how that would work. We're going to pretend that this brown part is the continuation of his leg. You see that? Oh no, the Tauntaun is dead! And now I have to extract him. Oh no. Have I gotten him stuck? Don't worry. And then, whose lightsaber should we use? I think it was Luke's in the second movie. Not that that has come out yet by the time that this figure set was purchased. Yeah, all the Tomland figures, I think, say, like, what, 1978? So then, dead Tauntaun, obviously he's a Jedi, he's so cool. Oh, and then you go inside and it smells bad. I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
So that's my bittersweet tale of like happiness and sadness and woe. Obviously, it was pretty sad when I discovered that I wasn't going to be able to keep these figures. I, had reached out just to like profusely thank the woman who had given me this bag of treasures for free, and just like gushed and like effused and like just thanked her so much for everything, and talked about how amazed I was that so many of the accessories were here, that Vader's original cape was there and everything, and the Tomland figures that I loved so much. And the woman who accidentally gave me the wrong bag of Star Wars toys told me that she was reading my thank you note to her husband, and the blood completely drained from his face, and he like blanched. He went like sheet white, and he said, "Which bag did you give away?" So obviously it's the right thing to do to give the toys back, and I'm going to, because like, I mean, my God, I'd be devastated if my spouse accidentally gave away a bag of my favorite toys that was collectively worth hundreds, if not over $1,000. I would estimate, like, if you got a good price for everything, like probably in the ballpark of $2,000 here, maybe more. But like my inner child does say no backsies, but my overall adult is like, obviously, we'll be giving these figures back within the next few days. So it was wonderful to get to borrow them. It's so sad to have to say goodbye to them, especially the Tomland figures and Vader. Oh my God, Vader! Oh, yeah. But, we'll be back. We will be on the hunt for guys like this. I've already, like I said, replaced some of them. And, it's just new collector goals, like new grails. And it was wonderful to get to spend time with this illustrious horde. Look at that. Look at these guys. Oh my God. Each figure here, like I would say, is probably worth minimum $100 to $200. But it's not the money that matters. It's the coolness of the nerd weird stuff. The weird stuff that I'm going to have to say goodbye to for now. But someday I will collect them all. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a pleasant day, and that someone gives you a bag of Star Wars action figure gold, and that you get to keep it. Yeah.